Okay, so at times like this, businesses are closing down and loan moratorium has come to an end, and we need to serve our loans to weather through these difficult, challenging times. Now, what a better way than to seek advice from licensed financial planner. And here with me today, we have Rafiq Hidayat, Managing Director from Wealth Vantage Advisory, to join us today to talk about how we can plan our finance for a better quality of life. Welcome to the show, Rafiq.
Hi Ryan. Thanks for inviting me.
Hi, thank you. It's so good to have you here today. So, Rafiq, I got a few sets of questions, but hopefully it's not too heavy for you. And the first question that we want to ask is, people have different ideas about how they plan their finance. Actually, is there any fixed rule? How should one start?
That's actually a really good question. For me, how to plan your finances will always start from your cash flow. Cash flow is the ins and outs of your finances. So meaning how much inflow, how much income is coming in, and how much you're spending. Because it doesn't matter how well crafted a financial plan is. So you can have a financial plan that is being crafted by the best licensed financial planners in the world. If you still have issues with your cash flow, most often than not, I can tell you that your plans will fail for sure. So how do you go about it? So you actually, like I said, you should start by identifying your current cash flow situation. So as I mentioned, what are the monies coming in on a regular basis? So monthly, so for those who are earning a salary, for people who are doing businesses, what are the income that they are paying themselves from the businesses? And then what are they spending on? So what they're spending on, this is on themselves, in terms of the liabilities or the debts that they're paying, on their wants versus needs, on their family, on their savings, on their insurance or takaful products. So identify all that. So once you have both your income and your expenses outlined, then you can start looking for opportunities to improve upon it. So try to increase your cash flow surplus, means extra cash as much as possible, without having to live well below your means. But you don't have to basically stinge. Basically, I have so many goals, so I can only eat Maggie every day. It shouldn't be like that. Okay, because you only live once. So you still should have a comfortable life, but without going overboard. This can actually be from looking at how your debt situation can be managed better, or reducing the money that you spend on unnecessary items. In the end, a surplus cash flow will make it easier for you to achieve all the other parts of your financial plan.
I want to check with you. Just now when you talk about the expenses, can I
Yes.
know usually how would people seek your advice, what to cut, the necessary versus the necessity? What is the thing that they can control to improve their cash flow?
The basic rule of thumb that I generally use when I talk to my clients in order to actually differentiate what is necessity and what are their wants is necessities, or what you need, things that would affect it can have an adverse effect on your life if, let's say, you're not able to spend on it. So example, having a roof over your head. So either buying a house or renting. So you need to have a roof over your head. You cannot be living outside, okay? But it doesn't then mean, okay, you then need to splurge. Means that, okay, I need a roof over my head, so let's live in a mansion. Yes, you still have a roof over your head, but then you're spending a lot more than what you actually need. Would you die if you, let's say, you don't live in a mansion? No. Yeah, so same thing with a car. My V gets you from point A to point B. A Ferrari also does the same thing, right? But the thing is, one is a necessity, one is a want.
And the cost difference also is very
The cost is different.
huge.
Yeah, correct. So you would start to look from that. So okay, what are the things that if I were to stop spending on it, it will actually affect my basic necessities. Okay, and what are the things that if, let's say, I can reduce it, or I can spend less on it, or I can remove it, it actually doesn't affect my basic way of life.
Have you met clients whereby they are married, but they have very different opinion when it comes to the way of how they want to plan their financial?
I think in Malaysia, most people, they don't really talk about their finances with each other. Even if you're married, they don't really talk about their finances with each other. I've had clients where they engage me as a couple,
Yeah.
but the instruction that was given to me that, okay, I should not share the information between the spouses. Okay, don't tell my spouse how much savings I have, how much liability I have, things like that. And that's actually a normal situation, not just in Malaysia, in most places. So that's why sometimes I tell my clients, I said, actually, when you engage a licensed financial planner, it's almost like finding a life partner, because you actually share more with your financial planner, at least in your on the finances side, compared to what you share with your spouses.
Yeah, I think somehow spouses have to talk to each other, communicate about their finance. I mean, they are building a family together anyways, right?
Correct. Yeah, correct. But the thing is, I think some of them is just, okay, it becomes a taboo subject. Sometimes when you talk between your spouses and you talk about your finances and everything, so there's always this what I call like closeness bias or relationship bias in what, okay, why does my husband need to know about how I earn, how I spend my money?
Mm.
So
Mm.
why? What's the reasoning? So you have this this potential conflict that you see is there,
Yeah.
because I've had discussions with clients. So basically, then when I tell them my views, my points, then the spouse will say, "Yeah, I told you this a long time ago." I think they look at me as an independent point of view.
Yeah, you're
So
neutral.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I'm neutral. So I'm just looking for their benefit. I'm looking out for their benefit. Whereas, like, if let's say a spouse were to ask or to advise that, say, okay, why are you asking me to spend less? What's wrong?
Mm.
Are you
Mm.
earning less but you're not telling me? Are you in a lot of debt? You're not telling me?
Mm.
What is it that you're not telling me? Oh, there's that bit of a distrust, even though you're married to the person.
Okay, so now when it comes to people who wants to plan their own financial expenses and all that, could they write it down, or is there an app or Excel that they can do it? What is the easiest way that you can think of that you can share with us?
I would not use pen and paper. The main reason why I wouldn't use pen and paper is because you would usually misplace it. Managing or planning your finance is not a once-off thing. It's something that you need to continuously update, review, come up with new action plans based on the information available on hand. So for specifically for, if let's say you want to ask whether there's a holistic financial planning tool that the public can use, as far as I know, no.
Mm.
Okay, there are specific tools in different areas of managing your finances that is available. So one is an expense tracker. So basically helping you to track where your expenses are going. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so basically tracking. Okay, so this is what I'm spent on, things like that, and it can come up with reports. Okay, these are the areas that you're spending your money on. There's a different type of tool that is for budgeting. This is how much I'm earning, so looking into your cash flow monthly, quarterly, annually, so on and so forth. So then there's also tools or calculators that help you calculate what are the gaps in terms of reaching your goals, especially retirement, education funding, things like that. But there's no one app that is currently usable for somebody who wants to do it yourself. So for somebody like me who's a practicing licensed financial planner, we have those tools. But looking at the complexity of it, so in terms of the information, the analysis, then making sense of the figures. So I do understand at this point why those holistic tools are not made available for the DIY users out there. In order for, let's say, somebody like me to do a financial plan for a client, it's not a one half an hour, 1 hour process. So we would start off with doing fact finding. So basically identifying all the relevant financial information that a client has, and then
Mm-hmm.
keying it into the app that we
Mm-hmm.
have. So we're looking at your personal details, your income, your expenses, your assets, your liability, your protection means like how much insurance policies you have or takaful policies you have, your beneficiaries. This is for estate planning purposes. Then your goals. So basically, how much, when do you want to retire? How much you want for your retirement?
Mm.
Your education funding for your kids. Uh, planning to purchase a property. So we've put all of that out. So once we have all the information, then we have to then analyze and make sense of the facts and figures that was given to us. Then we have actually then to prepare the report inclusive of the recommendation in terms of what is it that the client needs to do. And that is not a 1 hour, 2 hour process.
So you are basically collecting all this information
Yeah,
so that you can do up and have a clearer picture of what's going on in that particular individual to project what will become of him in the next few years, provided he is disciplined enough to follow that set of plan that is going to be doing up, like you do up for him, right?
correct.
All right. Okay. So after this, I'll be asking Rafiq more questions about planning your finance. So we'll be right back after the break. All right, and we're back with Rafiq, our expert of the day, to talk about financial planning. Okay, Rafiq, besides the do-it-yourself finance planning, one would actually engage a financial planner. Is it a costly affair? Why would people pay money to another person to do it for them?
Obviously, if you hear it from a licensed financial planner, it might be construed as a conflict lah. Okay,
Yeah.
because I'm the person that people pay in order to manage their finances. But to me, basically, I would prefer not to associate the word cost to engaging a financial planner. Okay, the word or phrase that I would generally use is actually value for money. The main reason why I say that is not just about financial planning, but people have shown throughout the years that they are willing to pay for products or services that they perceive to bring value to them. The charges of engaging a financial planner, I can't talk about other firms. I can only talk about WVA. Okay, so the charges can either be a per time cost. So basically, every meeting you get charged, or to annual fees. So for WVA, what we do is we charge annual fees to our clients. So it's about 3,000 ringgit per annum or 250 ringgit a month. So this is similar to the fees being charged by gyms for memberships. One helps you with your personal
Physical,
health, physical health.
muscular, yeah.
Yes, the other one helps you with the financial health.
Oh,
Okay.
cool.
So
Okay.
so you can look at it as something similar. Okay. I give you an example. So imagine, okay, you pay somebody like me 3,000 ringgit. So you would want to see what would be the value that I can create. So the value I can create can come tangible, means that you can see it in monetary value, and in intangible, means that comes from improved emotional wellness states and all that. So I had this one client, probably who was paying quite a significant amount in debt. Okay. So she was earning about 80,000 ringgit per month.
Oh, wow. That's a big amount of money.
That's a big amount of money, but there was no savings. Didn't have her own house. Okay. The main reason was she was paying about 44,000 a month in terms of debt repayments, and she didn't know what to do. So we went to see her. We said, okay, this is what we plan to do for her. And then she said, okay, we collected her data and we analyzed and gave her the report. So after we gave her her plan, we managed to reduce her debt repayment from 44,000 to 18,000 a month. So that's an improvement about 26,000 ringgit a month in terms of positive cash flow. Okay, so if you then ask me, for her, she will only pay us 3,000. So for paying us 3,000, she gets monthly additional 26,000 ringgit. So times 12, that is about 270 to 280,000. Would that be value for money?
Definitely. For this case, wow, a lot.
Okay. Yeah, so that's from a debt management point of view. Even when we look at our clients' investments, so most people out there, they know how to save. So means they put in savings account, tabung haji, ASB, fixed deposits, things like that. But most of them are not sure how to go about investment.
Yes.
Okay. So I've met with clients who had, let's say, 1 million in savings account, FDs, tabung haji, things like that. So then when we inform them, okay, this is then how you can then improve your returns while minimizing your risk. So basically increasing their returns from 2 to 3% per annum to, let's say, 5 to 6% per annum. We're not talking about going equity like 9% per annum. Okay, so just by the fact of increasing by 2% per annum, so their portfolio return has increased by 20,000 per annum for 1 million a 1 million portfolio. So again, paying 3,000 to get about additional 20,000 per annum, I think makes sense.
Really value for money, especially when they don't know how to invest, and if they use the money and invest, they try it and then they lose the money more than they earn it back,
Yeah.
it'll be more damaging lah. Rafiq, just now I think we've been talking a lot about family financial planning. I'm wondering if, let's say, there are people who are very young of age or maybe getting to their retirement. Is there any chance for them to actually engage and do their financial planning?
If I had my choice, I would everyone to be able to access to a licensed financial planner, because I believe that it is a necessity, especially in a country like Malaysia where our overall financial literacy is actually very low. The main reason is we do not have any formal financial education since we were young. Okay, so most of the things that we know is either we're lucky enough to have parents or cousins or uncles or aunts or friends who share financial tips to us. So then we listen to them, and our finances are slightly better than those that do not have access to that. Okay, so and that's actually one of the reasons why I opted to leave my corporate job to set up WVA. So coming back to your question, my preference is for people to engage a licensed financial planner earlier in your life, because earlier means that you have a longer period to work with, which means less resources needs to be put aside in order for you to achieve your financial goals. Versus somebody starting, let's say, when they're 50, 55 years old, and they have like 5 to 10 years left. So it's not to say that they cannot achieve their goals, but in order to achieve those goals, they need to make probably extreme changes to their lifestyle in terms of how they manage their finances, which is not going to be comfortable.
If, let's say, for those people who are just fresh graduate and they started working, but because maybe their salary is not more than 3,000, is it still possible for them to engage a financial planner?
In terms of people who are probably starting, so what you probably want to do is you might not want to engage somebody to look at your finances holistically, because technically there's not a lot of things for a financial planner to do anyway. So you might want to at least try to maybe have a once-off session to understand at least at a high level what you should be looking out for, until comes to a point where your personal finances becomes more complicated, because now you have more areas in terms of your personal finances that you need to take care of. So means maybe you're already married, you have a family, you've already started to accumulate debt, you're looking at your protection, your insurance takaful, things like that. So it's more complex. So at that point of time, then you might want to say, okay, I might need to engage a financial planner at that point of time. But when you first start off working, actually the first thing that you should be looking at is only two things. One is having emergency savings. Okay, emergency savings should be at least 6 months of your monthly expenses. Okay, which is put in an instrument where you don't lose money. So it can be a savings account or fixed deposit or tabung haji, ASB, so those kind of instruments where it's also liquid. If there's an emergency, you can take it out. Okay, so that's the first thing that you need to do. The second one is probably to look into, which is secondary in nature, to take either a life coverage policy or a medical policy. If you had to choose between the two, I would look at life policy first compared to a medical policy. The main reason behind it is because in Malaysia, our government actually heavily subsidizes the medical costs. You can still go to the government hospitals. It wouldn't be that much. And the only other part that you need to understand from a personal finance point of view is how to ensure that you effectively manage your debt. Because you're not going to run away from that. Because if, let's say, you plan to buy a house, if you just started working, there's no way you can buy a house in cash. Same thing with a car.
Unless the family is like own a few million inheritance, that sort of thing.
So you would have to acquire some debt. So you just need to understand the basic understanding of that. Okay, what should I be looking out for when I take up these loans?
So roughly, I suppose those who just started working, they probably might take at least 1 year or 2 years first to do their savings before they understand, oh, okay, so this is how working life is, and soon maybe they're going to buy their first home, they want to plan their marriage, then I think that will be appropriate time to start engaging the financial planner, or if they want to do it themselves to achieve the goals they want in another 5 to 10 years in life.
Correct. Yeah, I remember when I started working a long time ago. I started working back in 2004. Okay, I started working back in 2004, so I wasn't earning that much at that point of time. But I remember at that point of time, including EPF, about 30 to 35% of my income was put aside for investment. So I got married a year later. But at that point, there wasn't a lot of commitment. So I said, okay, I should manage my lifestyle accordingly. And that is something that I continue until now. Even though, let's say, I can afford to spend more, I choose not to.
Just so that you have that sort of, you build your own nest and your protection ready. In case anything happen, you have something to rest on. All right, guys, let's go for a short break before we wrap up the discussion today. Stay tuned, don't go away. All right, we are back here with me, Ryan, your host for Bujang Broke. So Rafiq, one last question. What will be your advice to our audiences who want to, plan to engage a financial planner's services?
My advice is actually very simple. Even if, let's say, you do not plan to engage a financial planner to manage your finances, please take the time to learn how to DIY your personal finances. Being able to manage your finances effectively will hopefully reduce the number of financial mistakes that you will get into throughout your journey in achieving your financial independence. If you do not wish to do it yourself, I would strongly suggest getting in touch with a licensed financial planner. And if you do not know where to start or where to find this licensed financial planner, I would suggest going to smartfinance.my. This is an initiative that was started by Financial Planning Association of Malaysia, together with the Capital Market Development Fund, CMDF, to provide direct access to licensed financial planners for all Malaysians. So you can go there. It's free to start chatting with them. There's no cost. It's only once you decide to engage them officially, then you will have to pay. But at the start, just to have a chat, everything, there's no charges.
Awesome. There's a lot actually we learned from your sharing today, and we learned about taking time to understand our goal, what we want in life, to prepare, and also couples who would share their finance together so that it's easier for them to reach their goals together, as well as how financial planning can improve our emotional living. So this show is coming to an end, but we will see you in the next episode to talk about the preparation that you need to know before you buy your first home. Now, this program, Bujang Broke, is brought to you by TVS. I am Ryan, and see you next episode.